Welcome in to the Not All There podcast. I am Chad. I am your host. I am back and feeling better. I was laid out, man. I got something. As I went to immediate care, and as they described to me, I tested negative for the usual suspects, and they said, well, Mr. Johnson, you have some, you can hear it, you have some nasty virus, and it's going around the area. We've been seeing a lot of it lately, and we don't know what it is. And it's just going to be, bad and hang around for a while. And after 2 weeks, if you're still feeling the same, you may need to go see your primary physician and have some blood work done and other tests. Okay. So thankfully, gratefully, I improved. I am far from, back to 100%, but I am able to make it through a day without just having an episode of narcolepsy where I fall asleep at, the drop of a hat anywhere that I am. I am asleep. So, forgive my, my flightiness here. I got brain fog, man. Maybe I did have COVID. I don't know, but it did rough me up. There's somebody in my life that's got a really nasty case of COVID right now, so it's possible I gave it to him. Anyway, with all that going on, I couldn't get on the mic, and I was unable to get someone over to my house because I don't want them coming in my house, and they probably don't want to come in my house when I'm sick like I was. So I haven't put anything up in like 2 weeks now, and it's been making me crazy. I have banked a few of these conversations with people. There was one that I really liked that I don't know what it was. Audio was wonky. It just sounds off. But I was able to resurrect it and clean it up a bit, and I'm very happy. And Terry is going to join me here in a bit. We recorded this a couple of months ago, I think, and we've been trying to get back together to redo it, but we don't have to. At the time that we recorded it, Terry was, I think he said he was 7 months sober, I believe. So new to sobriety, and a lot of his circumstances, events were still very fresh. So it's a very good perspective. It's a nice reminder of what life was like when we were out there doing the deed. It is a little challenging. It's hard. It's hard to think back about what we did, how we treated people, shame and guilt, but with time, that stuff goes away. You can't fix, manage, or control the past. The past is what it is. You just have to learn how to accept it and make peace with it. And with that, I am going to get out of the way, and you're going to enjoy this conversation with Terry. It's a good one. Enjoy. I'm a little jumpy, man. I've always been jumpy. My kids scare the shit out of me. Your kids ever do that to you?
Oh, man. I wake up scared from them. Keeps me up at night, but keeps me on my toes, too.
Yeah.
Keeps me...
So is your oldest one driving yet?
Yeah, she drove. She's been driving. She got her license. Yeah, she's been about a year now. And she's so far so good. That I know about. There could be some hidden tickets somewhere, but yeah, all good. She's not the one I'm worried about.
So you got a little guy just like you running around, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Frightening, but
it really truly is. I know. We kind of, for a while, I've been doing this meeting at my house for a while, and I was always when the kids were younger, I've been doing it 8 years now, I guess. And so, I started here because I couldn't make it to many meetings when I was getting sober, but my sponsor was like, well, why don't you just start your own meeting? And I'm like, it's a great fucking idea. So I did. So I would do it 9:00 and put the kids to bed and stuff. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to see my friends. they're like, your friends? And I'm like, yeah, my friends. And they're like, so what do you talk about? I'm like, oh, just things. And then after a while, as they got older, we were like, okay, well, here's the deal. Your dad's an alcoholic. He can technically drink, but he shouldn't. And so then they started asking me questions. They're like, so what's it like, Dad? And I'm like, oh, I just, it makes me sick. I'm allergic to it.
The allergy.
The allergy. And then they started, now that the older one's like, hey, Dad, you ever done cocaine? I'm like, yeah, I have. And they're like, well, like, how much? And I'm like, enough.
Yeah.
Like, just, I'm like, hey, man, I've been around the block. I know some things. And like, if I wrote the playbook.
Yeah, right.
So don't think you could like get away with anything.
How is that talking to your kids about that?
At first it felt really weird. Like, as we were talking before we started this, like, what do you've been sober 7 months? Is that right?
Yes. Just over a couple. Yeah. 7 months.
7 months. Yeah. So, you got all those fucking emotions that are coming up. And so you're like, well, do I tell the tales, or is that just like left unsaid and we just keep it moving? So I felt that way with my kids at first. That's why I kind of like doled it out, like, a little bit at a time, but they were also young. But as they got older and started asking me more specific questions, I was just like, well, fuck it. I'll just tell them.
Yeah.
And, they had a lot of questions. They were kind of, I don't think they were like uncomfortable about it. They just didn't get it. Right. And so as they got older and, we've been talking about like, hey, you're getting in an age where you're going to probably start seeing people with like weed or booze or who knows what at this age now. I don't know, but just always ask us about it. Like if you end up in a friend's cousin's basement, call me.
Yes. Yeah. I've been able to talk to my daughter, about it, about the drinking part of it. When I, they're, however you get into the program is how you get in, but they were a big factor of it.
Yeah.
My son, I haven't talked to him about it at all, really.
Yeah.
But I plan on it. Like,
yeah.
I'm not scared of it. We're in a real good spot right now as far as I'm just enjoying being there and being around and being sober. My daughter witnessed a lot of chaos. So I felt, and she was old, she's very mature for a 17-year-old. So I've been open with her, not too open, but enough I told her what I was doing and told her what I was going to get help. And I talk about it openly now, and I'm comfortable talking with her about it a lot. And
that's great.
And she's been great. And I'm trying not to scare her, but I also feel now that I got 7 months, it can just, I'm not scared to tell her like, hey, listen, just, it's in our family. I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but just, try to stay in control and just ask me any questions you have.
Yeah. That's like, my wife and I, these goddamn headphones keep cutting out. So, my wife and I have told the kids, like, look, when it comes time and you're curious and you want to try weed, you just let us know.
Yeah.
Because like, we'll just go buy it for you.
Yeah. Right.
Because, the fentanyl and all the weird shit that's out there, it's like, and they're like, well, we're not going to do it. We're like, hey, look, it's fine. It's totally natural. It's normal. Like if you're curious, cool. Just
right.
Let us know.
Yeah.
My kids haven't really asked me about any of that stuff, but also, when I bottomed out, my oldest was a year and a half, and maybe 2. My youngest was like 6 months, and it was. I like telling this story because I used to stash my booze in a backpack. I used to have this. Actually, I still have it. It's upstairs somewhere, but it's like those rubber bike courier backpacks. You know what I'm talking about?
The big ones. Yeah.
You could store a lot of booze in that thing. I used to just carry that around. I always had like my stash, and I got real good at like, acting like it's not heavy. And it was my final day of drinking. I was just a hot fucking mess. And, we're sitting in the living room, and my oldest Miles is like off wandering around somewhere, and he comes wandering into the living room, and I'm sitting, I think, in that chair. And he comes up to me and he's like, Daddy, Daddy. And he hands me this like half full sweaty bottle of white wine because he found it in my bag. I'm like, oh,
Wow.
fuck. Yeah. So as far as, so how old were you when you got started? So you've been on a good run, yeah?
Oh, man. Yeah. Hall of Fame credentials.
Oh, well, let's get to it then.
Yeah. No, I don't know that. I think it is, but well, I'm sure, like they say, someone's always better than you. But yeah, I started pretty regularly in 8th grade.
Okay.
I had some older sisters that were, in high school, and yeah, I saw it and partaked, and I hear people say like the first time they drank, it was like their minds got blown, or what I mean, like it just took over. I hear it a lot in meetings. I don't necessarily remember that. I'm sure it did, but I started early and was able to. I don't know. I had a high tolerance, I guess, as I went along. I always hung out with.
Well, you're Irish, right?
I got that Irish. But yeah, I was able to. I started at 13, and then or 8th grade, whatever that is. But yeah, it was and I always hung out with older people. Always made sure I was around people that were, all stars at drinking, and I could hang with them. Yeah, and. Eventually I couldn't, but yeah, in the several years, decades, I was doing good at it. At least I thought I was, but yeah, it just started out, 8th grade. I had a friend in grade school who owned a famous liquor store not far from us. So everything was in the attic.
Wait, is it start with a B?
No.
Oh, okay. Jesus.
No, it's, yeah, but it's, so he was in my class, and they had all the storage in their attic at their house, and, they weren't around much, but yeah, I remember, we were drunk in 8th grade a lot, so it's not normal, but,
true.
Looking back on it, you can kind of tell that's, probably not normal.
Well, I don't know, man. It just depends. It's kind of like your, I don't know, whatever influences you have around you, right? They kind of like set the bar for you. Like alcoholism and addiction, just in general, and like mental illness, it's like wildfire on both sides of my family.
Okay.
And so as a young kid, I was like real squeaky clean. I didn't have my first like honest drink until I was 18. So I had tried things, but it was never like, ooh, I'm going to sit down and I want to know what this is like. 'Cause my brother was all fucked up. He's 9 years older than I am, and he got all messed up on all kinds of stuff, and aunts and uncles and cousins. So I was like, I'm not going to do it. And my first real drink, it was magical. Like, boom, like, fuck, man, I didn't know I was, so fucking miserable.
So it did happen to you.
Yeah, it did happen to me. It was a Rainier beer. High class, man.
Okay.
Rainier beer. And so it hit me really hard, really fast. Like, I was living in Montana. I got the hell out of my house. First chance I could. I didn't go to college. I wasn't like remotely prepared for life at all. Like, it was, I grew up kind of out in the sticks, so like secluded physically, and stunted like emotionally, and it just, all of it, if I had gone to school, I would have just like failed out instantly. So I ended up getting a job at Glacier National Park, packed up, headed out there. It was like the first or second night there, like some girl's like, hey, you want to share a beer with me and share some beers? And I'm like, sure. Like, 2 hours later, we're like making out in the parking lot. I'm like, it was fucking great, man. And
Perfect.
Then 2 weeks later, I was sitting at a bonfire, like whacking back a fifth of Jack Daniels. It was like, boom. Yeah. It was house on fire. But I always had those family members, that bar that was like set for me. And I'm like, well, as long as I'm like hanging around here, that's fine. Until, it wasn't. But they kind of, some of my family members took me under their wing and were like, this is how you get it done. If you want to be a professional drinker, like, this is how you hide it. This is what you do. And it was It was quite a lesson in life.
Yeah, that's, I had, my dad, was an alcoholic.
Mm.
So I saw a lot of that. I was young when my parents got divorced because they got divorced because he was an alcoholic. I was in first grade.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. And he got the
That
option.
explains some things.
Yeah, right. You think? He got asked to choose between his family or alcohol, and he chose alcohol. So, but yeah, that was, but then, as time went on, my relationship with my dad got really good. There was some anger for many years, but I was too young too. I think my sisters had a lot of anger against him, rightfully so. But I was just like, whatever. He's my dad. He drinks. But then as I got older, I realized what he did. But at that point, I was like, I only got one dad, and I drank with him a lot. And we had a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Our relationship was, based a lot around alcohol, and I enjoyed it. And it wasn't, after I got out of college, I felt like he was mostly under control drinking. He's an alcoholic. I knew that. I mean, he did what he did. He chose alcohol.
Chose booze over family.
Yeah. So I never forgot that, but I just chose not to necessarily be mad at it. And he was a big guy of life, and he was
like a big physical guy.
No, he was the
larger than
life of the party. Knew everybody. Worked in Chicago. Had he just knew everybody, and he was a character and just well liked by everybody. And for the most part, had it under control. In his latter days, when he was probably around my age right now, is when I think a little bit younger than than I am. But anyway, I didn't see him really bad. I was too young. I think my sisters probably did. But yeah, I just figured this is what my life's going to be. I'll just be an alcoholic. I'll make sure don't get divorced though, because that's
don't
bad.
Get divorced. Don't lose your job.
Right.
Don't.
And he, and then when I, kind of came to my senses as far as, his really bad days were kind of behind him. From what I could tell, he was, a social weekend drinker, and he wasn't, I didn't see him do anything really bad besides leave his family, but that was,
paid his bills.
Right. That was, many years ago. But, and then, my dad just passed away a couple months ago.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
So no, it was, thanks. But yeah, it was, it's been a lot. I've been thinking about it a lot because I got, he's one of the first people I told, that I was going to go get help. I was going to go to, ironically, he was the only one around on that specific day when I bottomed out. And I'm like, let's go tell my dad who's dying of cancer. Yeah. And I got, I have some other family members that are, in the program, and I could, but they weren't around on that specific day. So ironically, I'm telling my dad who's dying of cancer, who's an alcoholic, that, I need to get help. But it was,
but what a beautiful thing though to share, right?
Yeah.
He's dying and you're like, I'm getting sober. So he was at least alive for that part of it.
Yeah. And, it was, I talked about it, as he, on his final days, it was, just to be able to be sober for his last 6 months of life or 5 months of life. Just being able to be there. Cause when he got diagnosed with cancer is when I took off.
Yeah.
And I had been taken off for many years, but it was an extra incentive. Poor Terry, go ahead. I didn't have to hide it as much.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Terry's dad's dying of cancer. He's not going to make it. Oh, go ahead, man.
Yeah. Go. Yeah. You can go drink all day and night. But,
Jesus.
Yeah, it was, so to be able to be there for him. And more importantly, just, my sisters and my kids were I don't know, man, the whole thing's crazy because it's, people talk about things happen for a reason. You hear kind of all these, sayings in AA and all these sayings about being sober, but it's hard not to look back and be like, this is unbelievable.
I know. It's like recovery's so full of these corny fucking cliches. One day at a time. Don't sweat the small stuff, and God means good orderly direction. I'm like, what? Shut the fuck up. But then, that happens and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Sometimes you just got to give in and be like, fucking corny.
Yeah. Something happened there. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't me. And something got me sober, 6 months before he died. And that's, something
That's really cool, man. When, I remember like when I was, cause I had the moment where my son, ratted me out, little fucker, but, I didn't want to go to AA. It was like, and it isn't like the answer for everybody, but it was the answer for me. And I just was like, fuck that. I don't want to go. My brother went to it. He could never stay sober. Like it had this kind of bad rap in my family. And so I was like, I could just will myself through this. And like 9 months into it, my wife had like, I don't know, some kind of dental work done. And there was this huge bottle of Vicodin staring at me every day in the medicine cabinet. Of course, I figured a plan and, it failed miserably. And then I ended up, going to AA, but it was like, I don't know how many, let's see, it was MMA. So like sometime around like that summer, I just realized like, I'm actually like kind of present for the first time in ever. Like it was like it kind of freaked me out. It was like really concerning. Like, am I feeling okay? Like
that feeling normal makes you feel like something wrong.
Right. Yes. And I've been like talking a lot about that. Because, I don't know. I'm not here to like, be a shrink. My experience though, I went through a lot of shit at a young age, and that like instilled a lot of, self-doubt and worthlessness, and I'm the problem. Like my dad got pissed and yelled all the time, and I was like, well, obviously I did something to make him yell. And my mom like used me as like this emotional crutch as a kid. And like, well, then my role is to not piss off dad and make mom happy. And so through that, I never figured out like who I was. And so, you start drinking and whatever on top of that. And, I drank from 18 to 39. So 21 years of just like pouring all that shit down on top of it. And then you start feeling these things and it freaks you the fuck out. You're like, what do I do with this?
Right.
Somebody's like, well, what's the matter? I'm like, I think I'm happy. Like,
right.
I'm enjoying this moment. I don't know. And it being sober for me, the emotion is like the most challenging part of it, is because, allowing yourself to feel certain feelings. It's really fucking hard for me. I mean, yeah. Are you kind of feeling that right now too?
Well, I mean, in the beginning, the first couple of weeks were extremely tough, but then, I gave it a few weeks. I mean, I knew I needed to stop, and I knew on my last day drinking, I knew when I was given basically the ultimatum, it was a sense of relief.
The relief is amazing.
It really was. I was still, the first week you're scared, mad, you got a little bit of everything, but I think
plus the DTs,
right? But literally the first day, because I'd gone through the, trying to stop 30 days here, beer only, no vodka. Anyway, we all know those stories. But when I really knew this was it, I was, I was really, I'm like, I don't have to do this anymore. It was insane. I was like, this has been my identity for so long, is like the dude that just drinks and just can stay out all night, and this is who I am. And to have the relief of that, it was emotionally just incredible. And it's hard. Of course, I was like, wait a minute, in a couple of weeks, there's going to be like a concert, or there's going to be a party or a wedding. But as cheesy as it sounds, the program for me just helped me keep it focused on a day. I know the whole day at a time thing. no one, everyone's tired of hearing that, but it really is something for me in the first couple weeks. Anyway, it was hour to hour, literally. I had to take, I had to take different routes driving around because I didn't want to go past certain liquor stores or bars. You know, as the days turn into weeks and so on, most days I tell people are just, you know, so good. There's, you know, it's football season. There was a couple weeks ago that I was, you know, really pissed off at myself that I had put myself in this position that I can no longer drink ever again. My high school was playing Mount Carmel, and I was wanted to go do what I did for every year and just go, you know, have a long day and have no consequences and not think about anything else other than myself. But anyway, yes, you know, I can count in 7 months, probably on one hand, about, you know, a couple of days that I was like, God, it would be nice. But, well, what people have taught me is, you know, play the tape. I remember how you felt the last day when you were begging that you would go drink that day and you were drinking an hour later and throwing up. Yeah. So, emotionally, I'm just enjoying it, and they call it the pink cloud. I think I'm past that, but whatever it is, it's been great. And, dealing with a death in the family has been, you know, as bad as a death is, obviously it was, to show, you know, to me, it showed that how this is working pretty damn good, because I wouldn't be able to get through that. That'd be a mess. Man.
You can grieve. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Like, normally, like a normal human being.
Like a normal human being. Because deep down, we're all normal human beings, man. You know, I was, for full disclosure, listener, this is Missy's brother. So when I was talking to your sister, I mentioned to her that, I had a point that I was talking to her about, and now I completely lost it.
It's all right, man.
Fuck it. I'll blurt it out when it comes back.
It'll come back to us. But yeah, Missy's been, speaking of her, she's been, she lives in my block, so it's like having a meeting on your block. So, you know, everyone's like, oh, how bad was she bugging you? I'm like, she didn't say shit to me, man. She just waited by the phone, and she knew it was going to ring. She
been waiting for you to call.
Yeah. And that's like so many people just assume that she was like, you know, beating my door down. And I mean, obviously I put them through, you know, hell emotionally, and you know, they were just probably praying to God that I just made it to wherever it was going to take me to get my head together. But, yeah, she didn't say much. She did at the end, like right when things were bottoming out. She heard that I was like flirting around going to some meetings, and she's like, you know, Rich and I go to a meeting every Sunday night if you ever want to go. And I was like, yeah, I went to a meeting a couple of weeks ago. It was great. And then, you know, as I'm at a bar drinking. So, but then, you know, the writing was on the wall. When you look back now and look at all of it, it was just all coming down. It was
all right there, man.
It was all coming down.
Well, we're always the last ones to find out.
Man, did I find out? Yeah.
There's a saying that somebody mentioned in a room one time that, you know, like if you meet somebody that's like struggling, right? They're maybe at the end, they may be bottoming out, and they're like, you know, you don't ever have to drink again. And like hearing that's like, what do you mean? No, I have to. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
You really don't.
I'm proof of it. I mean, I did it for however many, and that's, you know, Missy, when she talks about it, she had it, you know, she went in when she was at a young age, you know, I think she was 21 or something like that. And I say to my, you know, friends and family, people who ask, I'm like, dude, I was 45. I did it all. I mean, I did it.
Yeah.
You know, I did college. I did 5 years of it. I was in the hospital every year for getting my stomach pumped. I went to,
no shit.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into it.
I went to Ireland. They got my stomach pumped. And then people were like, but I made sure I hung around the sickest drunks of all time. Sorry, friends, but,
oh, no, it's okay.
But one guy was like, man, maybe you should stop. Couple whispers here and there. But it's not their problem. But yeah, I mean, that's why I made sure I hung around, you know, some people that were like, when I got out of the hospital, went right to the bar. It's like getting out of rehab and going right to the bars. I mean, the doctors, the guy in Ireland that was in Sligo, he's like, man, what is up with you? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like I started drinking at noon and stopped at 8 a.m. the next day. I'm like, and that kind of, in my head, I said, I didn't tell him that, but I was like, that's kind of goes on a lot. But, Yeah, getting my
God, I wish I would have known you back.
Oh man, it's it was, and I could rebound. I mean, yeah, it was once a year, and then after college, I didn't the throwing up bile stopped. I don't know how or why, but it was like
I had a phase of that too.
It was weird. I mean, not weird, but just why didn't it continue?
Yeah, no, mine was like
my drinking didn't stop.
No, neither did mine. I was like puking up blood and like getting like upper and lower GIs down, and they're like, everything's fine. How's your drinking? Oh, yeah, no, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
Well, you got that under control. Must have been some bad sushi. So, how have you been about like opening up about it to people?
Oh man, it's to each his own, but I immediately called all my group threads and friends. Most of I'm 46 and I got a group that's, I'm real tight with. It's just a couple years older than obviously all my college and high school friends that are mostly my age. I called everyone and told them, and every single person has been, been so supportive. And for me, it's been, besides my wife and kids getting me, here, it's been the aftermath, the support, and the fact that I can go out to dinner and let these people. I'm like, no, you guys drink. I'm good. I can have. I'm good. I want to hang out. It's who I am. I'm social.
Yeah.
I can't do it as much, nor do I want to. But it's nice. People have been, the friends have been, and it's
fucking great, man. You're lucky. Unreal. You're lucky with that.
Yeah. And I, like I said, I know a lot of people. Not necessarily hide it, but aren't outgoing.
It took me a while to come around,
and I understand it.
Yeah,
I get both sides, but for me, I knew in the beginning, my wife's like, no more bullshit, like no more, like you're not a secret. Tell everyone, and I'm like, I agree, and it just made it that much easier for me.
Yeah, I think there was like some uncertainty in certain like groups, like not sure how that's going to be received.
And sure, I'm not saying, but whatever. I hit them with the bomb, and look, I can tell they're looking at me with a Diet Coke. I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, the Diet Coke. I'm like, you want the police here? I'm like, it's over, and I'm like, it needs to be over, and they knew that part of it, but it makes them feel awkward, so I just drop it on them, and I'm like, no need to be awkward. I'm like, I'm sober.
Yeah.
And my plan is never to drink again. I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, but it didn't work. It did for many years. I was able to, I'll be a weekend warrior, do whatever. College is college. But then, even after college, I don't know. It'd go up and down. My wife would talk to my friends, and my friends would be like, he's fine. One of them was even in AA, but most of the other guys were heavy drinkers. So they would say fine, but she got a real, sigh of relief from my butt, because I didn't see it much. And my job is to manipulate people and make them, people think that I got it under control. But yeah, the end, there was no hiding anything, as there mostly is.
That is really, see, the friendship part of it, having people there that you can talk to is like a big part of it. And it took me a while to kind of come around to that. Like I was going to meetings and stuff, but I still am. I'm getting better actually of late, but I'm really bad at like calling and reaching out to people. And like, I'm used to living in my own head and like dealing with shit and dealing with shit.
Right.
And so you like, tell a friend and they're like, you're being a fucking,
And my sponsor's been great. I found a random fucking dude that kind of looked like me, and he started asking me for my phone number 2 days into it, and I kind of got freaked out. But no, I'm joking. Jim's been a godsend, and talk to him almost every day. But little things, not little things, but like you said, it's not for everyone, but it's been for me for sure.
Where does Jim live?
He lives in Glenview.
Glenview, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering if it was
I know you had a gym. I mean, there's so many goddamn gyms in the rooms.
I know.
Jim, John, but yeah.
Jim, John, Joe.
Right. Dime a dozen, man.
It's like, and they're all Irish.
Oh, go figure.
Oh my God, man. So, how did your drinking like affect your home life? What was that like? Because I mean, reason I asked, you don't have to get into it if you don't want to, but it's like not that far removed from where you are right now.
Yeah, and that's why, I can tell when people come up to me, after a meeting or something, and they've got a lot of years under their belt, and they're like, it's good to hear this. Like, it affected the family a lot. I almost, lost everything. I'm pretty certain to say, I had so many hall passes, we called them, and so many I've been forgiven so many times.
Right.
But yeah, at the end, I mean, I don't know, it's probably 2 years for sure. The last year.
Yeah.
It was just my wife, put a tracker in my car, and we both knew about it. And I was still parking in Mariano's and running across the street grabbing a drink. I mean, it was just like
the fucking lengths, man.
I know. It was really bad. It was, just nonstop. At the end, like the last couple months, I needed it. Like I was sick to my stomach. I needed, and talk about a drug that works. I mean, one sip, like it's like the fucking movies. It's like an airplane bottle of vodka is just, I got to the gas station and bought it, and I was able to get through my day.
Yep.
And worked for a couple hours, but then, I wanted to, you needed more. But yeah, it affected the line. And my daughter was, 16, 15 years old. She's not, like I said, she's mature for her age. So she's no dummy. She tried to she got my car and, after lacrosse practice and asked for a sip of Gatorade. And I said, you couldn't have a sip of it. And there was liquor. And she just looked at me, and I'm just, what is wrong with me? But it's so crazy, what's right from wrong, and you do wrong every day.
Every time.
And it's, but yeah, it got really bad. I was just sneaking around, all the stuff you hear. It's just, constantly lying about where you're going, planning your day around, and then the weekends were no problem. As far as, I didn't have to lie about that. My wife knew about what I was going to be doing.
Yeah, right.
But it was the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah. I think my wife called me and asked me what I was doing, and it's like 10:30 on a Monday, and I told her I was working, and 5 seconds later, she took a picture of my car in the bar at Myers. She's like, it's fucking Monday at 10:30 it was. They opened at 10:30. But
Myers up on Lake.
The one and only. It's my last drink.
Was it?
Yeah, my buddy jokes that's where people go to die.
I've heard, I've never set foot in there.
Oh,
I do want to go check it out, because it's sort of like going to like a memorial in a way.
I went there for the first time. I went there with my son had a football game close by there, and I went there with my wife and a couple other people. The bartender's like, double Tito's. I'm like, no. Yeah, but I didn't care as far as like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I didn't want to step foot in there and just to kind of cross that bridge. And I had a couple months, and I was with people that would have tackled me.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, it was funny to go back in there, but man, yeah, it was, the end was bad. It was, just being passed out at 3:00 in the afternoon when the kids got home, and then going back out. I think it took a big toll, and I'm, trying to fix everything, overnight. It's not going to happen. But what I can tell you is that my daughter and wife, my relationship has never been better, as far as I can tell. I mean, they could be MFing me right now when I'm gone, but no, it's,
maybe you deserve that too.
Yeah, totally. It'd be fine. But no, I'm just, the word grateful gets thrown a ton, but it's hard not to, because I was about to be in some crazy apartment visiting my kids on the weekends. I was, one decision away. And, the last drink was pretty intense. I went to Myers at noon on a Thursday, and, I wasn't checking my email, and, apparently I was warming up for a 6:00 game that my daughter was playing for her high school. And I guess on the emails, all the parents were meeting there before the game.
At Myers?
Yeah. And I didn't check my email. So I've been there since noon. And I mean, my wife gets a call that I'm asleep at the bar. And, some dads wrestle me out of my car that I was about to drive. And then I'm like, pretty black. I don't really remember. It's like just all spotty. And then I came to him. My wife walked in and drove me home. And then the next day I was my typical shit. I was like, just called her and acted like nothing happened. And she's like, did you hear what I said to you last night? I'm like, no. And she's like, this is it. She's like, I'm leaving town this weekend on the baseball trip. You're not coming. You got the weekend to tell me which direction you're going. And I called her, 24 hours later. I knew she didn't want to talk to me, but I went and called my dad. I go, I need to talk to you outside. He had seen me earlier in the week, passed out. Like I went to go hang out with him, when I was blacking out, and Missy at my sister's house. And she's like, what the fuck? It's 2:30 and you're sleeping on the couch. So, but I went to him. I told him, said, listen, I need to go to treatment. And I got my other sister, Kim. Missy was out of town. And they're both like, let's go. They're like, let's do it. And we're all behind you. We've been waiting. I called Missy, called me a couple hours later. Told her. She wasn't surprised, but she was bummed. She was in New York and she got home. But I just stayed at my sister's house. My dad sat on a couch on his chair, dying of cancer, but he was with it, and we were just sitting there while I detoxed for 2 days, and we just kind of sat there, and it was I remember it, as crazy as it was, and as sick to my stomach as I was. I was also relieved. I was like, I don't have to do this anymore. I didn't obviously know, but I was like, I'm going to put it out to the world that I'm not taking a 30-day break. I'm taking a break. And my body's taking pounding. Fuck body immediately. I mean, it took a couple days to clean up from what I'd done that week and years, but even just taking a couple days off. I hadn't taken a couple days off.
Right. Oh, dude. It was like the DTs are real.
Yeah.
That's
my doctor, I went for a blood test in, June of, 22. And, I showed up drunk and he did the blood work, but it was like, it's so psychotic. I was looking for like someone to tell me and he told me I was going to die before my dad if I kept this up. My liver, enzymes were he said I had the world record. I drank 2 seconds before I went in there too.
But still.
Yeah. He was like, dude, you're, and so I took a 30-day break, went back, clean bill of health, shot out of a cannon, and I still had more time in me after a DUI, after getting told by a doctor.
How did you get? Just a one?
I just got, dude, I don't know how I only got one.
I know. I didn't get any. I don't fucking how I pulled that off.
I mean, I got one in right before COVID in Thanksgiving of 2019.
Oh, your timing was good then.
Yeah, right. Well, I was really lucky that it got settled because everything got even more.
So that's what I mean.
It would have been dragging. But yeah, there was the drive, and so driving drunk with the kids. There was a lot of episodes with that, and it was it got really bad, and I owe a lot of people an apology. I was driving kids around totally. I mean, not whatever. I was impaired, and it was bad, and it was couple times were bad and a lot of times were just buzzed, but whatever, it was so bad. And that's what stuff like that makes me be like, okay, you did it, it's done, you're somehow alive. And I was telling somebody a week or two ago about it. We had lunch, still meet a lot of guys, and it's fun. I'm still able to do it, and I love that part of it. A lot of people can't go into bars, a lot of people can't have their friends drink, and I get that. And I just,
I'm one of the lucky ones too. Like, we have booze in the house. Like my wife has wine every now and then.
Yeah.
She can't ever finish it. And I don't fucking get that.
Yeah. Come on. Thumbs up. What are you doing? So wait.
2 sips. I'm not going to pour this to the truth.
I told some friends though, when we met for lunch, that they hadn't heard the stories, but, there was the drinking and driving, but I fell asleep and I hit a car in front of me. At Grand and Ashland, it's probably 7-8 years ago. And they chased me around in my car. They finally cut me off, had a knife to my throat, took my phone, and they said, they're going to follow me to an ATM. They're going to make me take out as much money as I could. I peeled off onto the highway. They found me on the highway speeding back to Evanston, and they cut me off. And we got another chase. I got off the highway. I'm going through red lights, and I drove to the police station. And the guy came in with the knife out and then finally turned around and left. And the cop's like, what's going on? I'm like, this guy, is trying to kill me. He's like, are you drunk? And like, I've had something to drink. And he's like, what happened? I'm like, nothing. But I mean, the chaos. I left my car there, took an Uber home. My wife had to drive me to my car the next morning at the police station. And then last winter, I went out and met people for lunch, which I did a lot, and ended up in the Harlem and Irving lockup at the mall. It's a big mall, not a big mall, whatever. It's at Harlem and Irving.
I know the one.
The hit. And
it's kind of a dome.
It's a fucking total fun. But I went there to go Christmas shopping and fell asleep in the car in the parking lot and ended up with mall police. So I made it out of there, but then my wife had to come get me. So
my God. Yeah, she's a fucking saint, man.
I mean, I talk to people and they're like, hey, you are lucky. And I don't take it for granted as far as now. I don't. Like, I'm like, realize how, it's...
But, so we all have like stories like that. Like you had a guy like put a fucking knife to your throat and like chase you down, and that didn't stop.
Yeah. I didn't tell her that, but it didn't stop me.
But no, it didn't stop you. Yeah. No, I had
DUI. Didn't stop me.
One time I was out with my uncle, and I was like, man, I gotta buy some weed. And he's like, oh, I know a guy. We'll go, it's his daughter's boyfriend, but whatever. So we get this weed, and we're driving back to my place, and we're got music on, and we're shooting the shit. And of course he's got like this van, not like a contractor van, but it's got like the captain seats in the back and all that shit, like your creepy uncle's van. And we're cruising along, and finally we hear something. We can't figure out what the sound is. And we didn't notice like the flashing lights going off inside the van. And we look back, and like the cops like, pull the fuck over.
Yeah, we're like, have we hit you?
Yeah. And finally we're like, shit. So we pull over, and I'm like freaking out. I'm like, what do I do with the weed? My uncle's like, just put it in your sock.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So I did. And so one cop goes up to his window, and I'm in the passenger side. Another cop comes up to my window. We roll the windows down, and I'm looking around in the back, and like there's, a half full bottle of vodka. There's prescription pill bottles everywhere. I'm like, those aren't your prescription. And like, we are fucked. So the cop that's talking to my uncle's like, we've been following you for a mile. Are you guys been drinking? What's going on? The usual questions,
Right.
And they get to the, do you have any firearms in the car? And my uncle's like, I do. And I look over, I'm like, the fuck?
You didn't tell me this.
Yeah. And then before I knew it, like there was a gun in my face, and the guy's like, hands on the dash. And, oh my God. By the way, I had to like piss so bad. I'm like, can you hurry up and get me home?
Yeah. Get me to a cellar home.
Yeah. Seriously, man. Can I just piss right over here in the bush? So we're held at gunpoint, and the guy's like, well, what do you have in there? He's like, well, I have a 22 rifle, and then I got a 357 Magnum under the seat. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding?
Oh, no.
With all this booze and these drugs, and I got weed in my fucking sock, and they pull us out of the car. They keep me at gunpoint, and my uncle, because he's white, I guess, talked his way out of it.
Oh, shit.
They kept the car, or they kept the guns, and let us go.
How long ago was this?
God, this was like, 17, 18 years ago. No, more than that, like 20 years ago. But yeah, that what you think would scare you shitless. No, man. I was like, wow, I got home and was like, people were over. I'm like, you're not going to fucking believe what we just went through.
The war stories, I can't. Yeah,
I know.
You hear them a lot in the rooms, like, what's going to make you stop? When is bottoming out? But, yeah, if I didn't, if I checked my email that last day I drank, I probably would have scooted over to some other bar.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
The walls were caving in. I knew it's like a movie.
You knew.
Yeah.
You knew.
And the voice, my mom always told me she's kind of all there with it right now, but she's funny. She can be with it. She'd have many talks with me over the years. And I knew when I was coming over there, she's like, it was going to be just fucking hell, because she watched our kids when we go to work, and I know she'd find my laundry and see the couch pissed on, and, find other things probably in my jean pockets, and she
receipts.
And other things too. But she would be like, she's like, this is out of control. I'm just telling you, you need to. She's like, the carpet can get pulled out right from under you. She's like, I know you're having fun, but she's like, you're out of control. And she's like, just listen to the voice in your head. As cheesy as that sounds, I would talk.
Motherfucker, I do listen to the voice in my head.
One's telling me go to the bar, and this one's telling me I know this is ending bad.
Yeah.
So as bad as it ended, like I've heard worse. And I'm just,
man, it's, I mean, yours wasn't that bad.
The body of work was impressive, but
truly, like, I mean, you do have a Hall of Fame career. Like when they put the plaque up, there's going to be some good stuff up there.
If not, I'll be pissed. It's all about me. But yeah, it's the body.
Roger Clemens of the Alcoholic Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, you think when you do one of these things or have one of these episodes, getting your stomach pumped. I mean, again, that was college, so I was able to sweep that under the rug.
Right.
Mentally and be like, college.
So at 22, I'm still learning what to do.
Yeah. But the progression of the whole thing is quite amazing and scary. Like, and I said to myself all the time, I'm like, my dad's an alcoholic. He's functioning. This is just who I'm going to be. I'm 40. I'm not going to change. I'm not, this is how it is. But man, 40 to 45 was, I mean, it was always nuts, but it was 7 days a week and starting in the morning and not stopping. It was bad.
Did you ever, when I look back, I guess the thing that like maybe amazes me most about being sober is that I never at any point in my life pictured myself to be where I am. Like I always thought, okay, well, I'm going to die young. Like that's just how it's going to go. And I'm going to go out with a bang. And I just couldn't seem to find that bang. And it kept going and going and going. And I don't know. I just never, I wanted it to end and I never saw an end in sight. And then it was like, how do I make this fucking thing end? And like the turmoil was brutal. It was so fucking hard. And for me, I was thinking about going to treatment, but anyway, I went to kind of go do like an assessment.
Check all the boxes.
Check all the boxes. Yeah. And the guy asked me all the questions about what I did and how much I drank. And he's, yeah, okay, you're an alcoholic. And he's like, but you don't ever have to hide it anymore. And I just remember him saying that. And that fucking relief was like, it kind of still keeps me going in a way, like that I don't have to do that.
You got a choice.
Well, and one thing that I really struggled with, especially when I was, trying to cover up and lying about shit was like, that's just, I'm like a good person. Like, I don't like this person that I see. I don't like how I'm fucking acting, but I can't like admit. I would rather go down in a ball of flames lying about the shit that I'm doing than just being like, yeah, okay, I got a fucking problem. And I don't know how some people deal with the pain for a really long time, that turmoil. And you are, you're ready when you're ready.
Yeah, I saw I saw the signs. I knew I was out of, excuses are out of, I could tell it was coming to an end. I was having meetings in my own car. I knew I was coming. I mean, if I got there alive, I didn't, I was, I don't know, I was waiting for it. Like I said, I purposely, got drunk before a physical with my doctor. I mean,
because you needed somebody to tell you.
So you're going to die.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, I mean, I knew that I looked again, I looked at my sister and saw that she was pretty happy. And I saw some other people that I knew I had a couple friends that have had some years of sobriety and were living a normal life. And you're so far down in the rabbit hole at the end that you don't think that it has to come to a screeching halt, either jail, death, or rehab of some sort. And I literally would talk in my car, like what I would say at meetings. Like I was rehearsing, which is kind of crazy, but I knew, and I knew that was the route I was going to go. I didn't know if it was going to work, but I knew that I had some people that I looked up to that, had been around the block with the program. And I did the 90 and 90 days, and I don't know. I like doing something like this, though. Like I told you earlier, when I just met you, by the way, just ago.
We met about an hour ago.
But doing something like this, spices it up a little bit. But I did my fifth step a couple weeks ago, and I feel like that kind of brought me back in a little bit. 1, 2, and 3, or 2, 3, and 4 were kind of just whatever. I mean, not whatever, but I felt like I had a little bit like to do some work, and I felt like I got made. As they say in the movies. I became, part of the family, but it was good to kind of get back into it a little bit. But yeah, it's like you said, for me, it's work. It's not for everybody, but.
Well, I mean, it is all fucking work. And the thing about, I guess, well, as I mentioned, like doing what we're doing right now is, and I tell people as I kind of like throwing this thing out there, like, those who are in recovery, like, I hope this helps like your day. But also the people that like are at the end of it.
Yeah.
And they don't know what to do. And it's like, well, they're waiting for somebody to tell them it's okay. Like you mentioned, like, oh, if the doctor tells me if I don't stop, my liver is going to explode. Well, then that's a good, hey, doc says I got to stop.
Right.
Or my wife's going to kick me out or whatever it might be. But there's those people that are fucking struggling and they don't have anybody around them that's like, yo, you better check yourself or some, the warning signs are in their head, but you can't bring yourself to it because you've got a problem, but you don't want to admit it to yourself.
Correct.
That
if I didn't have, a family or, support, like, there's so many people out there that, don't have, the key, a lot of them, something like a wife or a job or a doctor, they don't have access to some of that stuff. And that, I do think about that quite often about how hard, I mean, almost impossible to do it.
You can't do it on your own, man.
No, I tried.
Right. Well, and, not to, this probably sounds arrogant, but I mean, good fucking luck just trying to use your willpower through it because you take the booze away. You're still the same fucking asshole. Like,
right.
It's like another cliche. It's an inside job.
Right.
I mean, you gotta kind of, heal yourself, like take the booze away, heal your body, but then you got to find a way to like heal yourself and be cool with who you are.
Yeah.
Right. Like, getting to like, for me personally, like just getting to like myself is like really fucking hard, you know? And it was easy for me to be like, well, I'm a great hang at a bar. I'm incredibly funny and, somewhat attractive when I'm drinking. So it was like really easy to hang my hat on that identity. And then you take that away and it's like, well, who are you? I don't know, just some fucking like wounded middle-aged man. Like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah, it is hard. And in the beginning, the first couple of weeks, it's hard not to start thinking like, what are you going to say to people? What are you going to do?
Yes.
What are you going to do at the wedding? Like I brought up earlier, how are you ever going to be able to get on a dance floor and dance? I'm never going to be able to have a beer with my son when he turns 21. What a bunch of bullshit. Like what fucking, I mean, yes, you know what I mean? Like you start thinking about stuff like that, but how about, being present for your son during these crucial years and your daughter right now? And like I've taught, and I'm going to have a talk with my son when it's ready, but it was, trying to find a new identity. Yeah, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't scary, and I still don't know what the fuck I am or what I'm doing, but I know that I got a lot of people coming up to me, asking me how I'm doing and saying that they're proud of me. And, for me, it's just, you're wondering like, God, why didn't I do this sooner? But, no regrets for the most part, as far as it is what it is. And that's a terrible saying in a way, but I can't change what's done. All I can do is just kind of, try to, impact, my kids and my wife. And, there's a lot of people, like I said, there's a lot of friends of mine that are incredibly supportive. And, I think somewhere down the road, I'll be able to help somebody. And
well, doing this, you are.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I had, I don't know, man, I got that. I just, you want to give it back somehow. And it's, like I said, doing something different like this is cool.
Yeah, it is. And just, I mean, again with the fucking cliches, but yeah, just showing up is giving back. Looking through the wedding photo album in about 5 years and seeing yourself not making an ass of yourself.
Like I did at my own wedding. Like I don't even remember my own wedding.
Yeah, we're not going to go there.
Yeah, next episode.
Yeah, there's some pictures floating around from a wedding of my wife's friend, and they're like, "My God, people still talk about you." I'm like, "Oh fuck!" And they're like, "You remember, like you had your tie around your head, like Rambo's band on the dance floor?" And I'm like, "I did." No, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I've had a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, man, this is cool. I appreciate it. It's my sister told me, and I said, I'm not afraid. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, fuck. Anytime you want to come back and do this, let's do it, man.
I'd love to, man. This is cool.
All right. Well, thanks again. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Thanks.
And that was my conversation with Terry. I really enjoyed hanging out and getting to know that guy. He is awesome. And I know that we talked about it in the conversation, but that is Missy's brother, Missy from one of the earlier episodes. She got us together, and I'm really happy to get to know Terry and to listen to that again. There is a lot of hope in what he has to say. Much like a lot of us, it was a little difficult and painful for Terry at the end. Mine was too. And when you're going down hard, man. And to hear that, how it ended for him, and then to hear where he is today, and you can hear it in his voice, man. I'm happy to get to know that guy. I'm super proud of him. And, you don't ever have to drink again. You don't ever have to use again. You don't. Okay. You may think that you don't have a choice, but you do. And you don't have to do it. And there are people out there that can be there for you and help you through it. Hold your hand, be a shoulder to cry on, or just listen to you, talk babbling nonsense and shit. Oh, my Lord, my mind and my throat. Anyway, thank you for listening, everybody. I'm grinding through this. If you have any questions or comments about anything, or just want to reach out to me, the email is notalltherepod@gmail.com, notalltherepod@gmail.com. Website is notalltherepod.com, notalltherepod.com. Stay tuned. We got more stuff coming, and I've got some things cooking in the background that I'm really excited about as far as people who are going to come in and talk. And we're going to switch things up a little bit, I think. All right, everybody. Be kind and loving to others. Be kind and loving to yourself. Give yourself that big old hug. You deserve it. And love yourself. You're worth it. All right. I'll talk to you later. Take care.